All right. So CD Projekt Red believes Cyberpunk will be considered a very good game in the long run. And then look at this um tagline here. It will sell for years, especially as hardware gets more powerful and we improve the game. Um, so this story was kind of big because it just people didn't like the tone that this guy had. So let's look at this. Um, Speaking in a new interview with Polish economic newspaper, I can't even say that. Can you say that?
Hell no.
Adam Kaczynski. That looks like Kaczynski, right?
Yes, it looks like it, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. So if we're saying it wrong,
Yeah,
we apologize. But it looks like
yeah.
Kaczynski.
We apologize profusely to our Polish audience.
Yes. Um, so he argued that the brand awareness generated by the game means it will eventually be seen as a success, despite its rocky launch last December. Cyberpunk 2077 is the biggest, most ambitious, and definitely the most complicated project in our 27-year history, Kaczynski said. In almost every aspect, we tried to take it a step further, just as we've done with every Witcher game we've ever released. Releasing a game in a new franchise brings many challenges and risks, especially when the concept is so complex. We brought to life a huge, vibrant, futuristic city called Night City, where the characters' non-linear stories take place. We're proud of many aspects of the game, but as we know, not everything went our way. Nevertheless, the brand awareness of Cyberpunk that we've managed to build is huge. In the game universe, its characters and details have fans all over the world. We believe that in the long run, Cyberpunk 2077 will be perceived as a very good game, and like our other titles, it will sell for years, especially as the hardware gets more powerful over time and we improve the game. We're working on updates all the time, and we're also working on a version for the latest generation of consoles. Of course, the original release taught us a lot. It gave us a kick and motivated us to make changes that will make us better in the future. Um, Kaczynski also reiterated that the game would be receiving no more updates in 2021 and that the next gen version will be released in the first quarter of 2022 alongside a large version 1.5 patch. Um, the decision to postpone the next gen version of Cyberpunk was a difficult one, but we are confident that it was the right one, especially since it was clearly recommended by our development team. He said, we need the extra time to fine tune the visuals and performance of the game to be as high quality as possible throughout the game. So there you have it. And then here's a an updated roadmap. So here you have 2021, and then here's where 2022 starts. Um, I can't really read it. It's kind of
It's kind of yeah.
yeah.
It's a low quality
It's a low
JPEG.
res. Yeah. So I'm not going to go in that. But anyways, so yeah, that story. It's seen on its head. It seems kind of like okay, he's just saying this in an economic uh, forum, right? So it's not like he's speaking to gamers, right? He's speaking to this economic forum. So his take is very like business oriented. You know what I mean? But what I got from it is that he values the brand recognition more than the state of their actual product. That's what it seems to me when I read it. And that's why I think a lot of people took issue with this interview because they're like, what? Yes, you can build the brand awareness of a product and do this huge hype push, which Cyberpunk had for many years. But then if you release crap, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like that should hurt you long term. It really should. But he sees it as, oh no, it's gonna hurt us short term because we got this brand recognition. Eventually, it's gonna be a good game, and people are gonna reward us for it. That's what I got from it. I mean, what do you think about it?
So it's interesting um, how people can get different, you know, uh, in, what's it called? Infer different emotions or feelings from the same situation.
Yeah.
Uh, like from you reading it, I found it to be optimistic.
Hmm.
And if anything, there's been a lot of modern day success stories. I'm looking at No Man's Sky.
Hmm.
I'm looking at Final Fantasy 14, where they initially came out with, subpar game, but there was something there that they worked on, and they chiseled, they sculpted something out of the marble that they had before.
Hmm.
So you, out of both of us, are the only one that's played Cyberpunk to completion.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you say that game is trash from what you played?
No, no, I never said it was trash. No, it's not trash.
Well, you,
Um,
you you said earlier that, like if you build something like that's trash, at the very beginning, and
oh, no,
then try
yeah.
to be like, and I know what you're inferring. It's kind of
Yes.
hyperbolic, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to kind of like make sure that we're all on the same line here in terms of how we feel about Cyberpunk 2077 as a game,
Yes.
as it stood even from the onset, because you played it when it first came out,
Yes.
before even some of these more recent patches.
Yeah, so I played it all the way through. Um, and it crashed on me so many times. And there were so many bugs and the
And you
overall.
played on the PS5, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I played it on the PS5. I played the PS4 version on the PS5. I know the PC version was a little bit better because they usually develop for PC first.
Well, the best version was on Stadia, apparently.
Oh, okay. um, now, but my issue isn't with the fact that the game could be really good, right? It's not. Yes, it can be really good, right? I believe that, right? And I believe if they had released it, under the right circumstances where the game was working well, and there was enough um, complexity in the systems that they promised, but they failed to do, right? The driving system obviously is one, and then in there he was saying like non-linear storylines, but that wasn't the case when I played. The storyline was extremely linear, and it didn't vary that much depending on the class you picked. Did they change it? They changed a lot of things, right? I would have to go back and re-experience it, again to see all the new improvements and everything. That being said, when I played it through, I enjoyed it to the extent that I was like, oh, okay, when the game's working and it's running right, I'm enjoying the game, right?
Yes.
So I totally see the potential. I see what he's talking about. My problem is with the attitude of there's no big deal for us to release games in this state because in the end it's going to be fine and we're going to make money. That's what I get from his attitude. And
Did he say specifically that it's okay to release games in this state?
no,
Because I'll tell you right
no,
now that I didn't infer that from what you wrote to me, or
yeah,
what you read to me.
yeah,
And I can tell you as well that I'm incredibly upset with Cyberpunk 2077 slash CD Projekt Red,
yeah,
because I was super hyped for the game. I bought that world preview book or whatever,
hmm,
and that was like $100 for like the deluxe version, which when it first came out, which I should have waited because I thought it was gonna be like rare or something. Anyways, I got the collector's edition of the game, the collector's edition strategy guide. I was super hyped for it, pre-ordered all that stuff, and it came out to be a buggy mess, at least on report.
hmm,
And so I've delayed even playing the game because I want to have the most optimum experience.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I don't want to judge it on the bugs. So essentially, I've kind of bought into, like, I've sponsored them, if you will. Like I paid for an alpha,
hmm,
and I'm still waiting for the patches in order to like complete the game.
yeah, yeah,
Which sucks because it's been over a year now,
yes, yeah,
and they're nowhere near. I mean, like, I already fully expect them to create PS5 and Xbox Series X console versions rather than,
hmm,
playing the PS4, because I have the Xbox One version. I was expecting there to be a Series X type situation, but haven't gotten there yet. And yeah, I'm super frustrated. I think this is a thinking in the games industry that's been happening for a while. It's not just CD Projekt Red, where people are releasing, and it's mostly Western developers, to be honest,
Yeah,
releasing buggy games.
it is. You're right.
Uh,
It is mostly Western developers.
and
Yeah,
that is an industry-wide problem that really we should not let pass. And I'm definitely guilty of pre-ordering and then purchasing this type of not this type of game, but I'm kind of actively participating in this kind of behavior, and I
yeah,
really need to stop. Vote my wallet, stop pre-ordering, don't purchase a game or return the game when something like this happens. I did the same thing with shoot, I forget what buggy game, but either way, I think that's the only recourse that we can do aside from vocally telling game developers like, hey, we don't like this approach. This is not consumer friendly.
yeah, yeah. So I think fundamentally we both agree on this
Yes.
situation. Yeah.
Yes.
I just I just took what he was saying as being a little cavalier.
Flippant.
Yeah, a little flippant.
I feel
Um,
that.
so this is something interesting. So have you ever heard of the lean business model?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it. I'm gonna butcher it because I don't have like it drilled in my head like exactly what it means. But essentially, one of the tenets or the lean startup, one of the tenets is like releasing. I'm sure you've heard of this. You release the minimum viable product,
Okay.
and then you iterate upon it, right, and improve it,
Yes.
right.
Okay.
So I was like, why are we getting so many products, especially digital products, that are just not finished? You know what I mean? It's not just games. I mean, it's a lot of things, right?
Yes.
And I was reading this article where this guy was like, this idea of the minimum viable product really blew up from this book, The Lean Startup. And but in the book he was saying that people misunderstood the meaning of it. The meaning of it isn't to release a minimum viable product. It's to release a minimum product that has the core fully fleshed out and working properly. And then when you release the core, right? So like for example,
I'm seeing Street Fighter 5 right now.
yeah, Street Fighter 5 is a great example. So for example, Street Fighter 5 they released a game where it was all online, right? There was no arcade mode. The menus looked horrible. It was all placeholder text. The story modes were not good. There
There,
was no.
was there a story mode
There was a
in the
story
in the
mode.
original?
Yeah.
But it would like ended with like animated end cards.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
The
And
story
there was
made.
barely any characters
There was
too.
barely any characters. So they released a minimum viable game, right? But
Yeah, but here's the thing. Not compared to Cyberpunk,
yeah,
it wasn't a buggy mess. It
it
played
worked.
incredibly well.
It
Yes.
worked. Yeah. So but I will say this: the point is not to release it and then just build from there. The point of the that whole methodology is you don't even know if it's going to work in the market. That's why you do it, right? So, for example, if you come up with a new idea of a new genre of game
Yes.
and you release the single player campaign, right? Or you release a multiplayer mode, that's the minimum viable, but it has to work really well. It has to be as bug free as it can get, and it has to convey what you're trying to give to the user in a very
It's
good way.
You sound like Halo Infinite right now.
Exactly. Halo Infinite did it right. And
But they released that for free and they even called it a beta.
exactly. They were very smart with it, right? So, oh, my camera just died. um
Oh no.
anyways, so the point I'm trying to make it is if you're going to do that, it's only for market research purposes, right?
Mm,
Cyberpunk And a lot of these games, they already know people want it. You know what I mean? Because the fan outreach was huge when people announced it. People wanted it. They already knew they wanted it. So in that case, it makes no sense. So it's only for target or testing the market waters, and you still have to release a core product that works well. So I think a lot of people are misunderstanding minimum viable product, and I think it goes back to what you said. A lot of people are, unfortunately, you and me, we're part of it too, supporting it by pre-ordering a lot of these games,
Correct.
because they get the money, up front for a lot of pre-orders, especially the digital ones,
Yeah.
and they can just say, "Oh wow, we're making money," and then their focus is on we're going to be rich versus okay, we got to get this product out so people like it. They already got the money. You know what I mean? They already got the reward. So yeah, that is definitely a big issue, and you're right. It's a difficult problem, and unless we all kind of band together and stop pre-ordering these unfinished games, and this goes into why I've really switched over to buying like physical versions of indie games,
Mm.
because a lot of the times when you buy them, like especially from limited run, the game's already been out a couple years. It's already had all its patches. It's already had all its DLC. The game's complete. The game works well. You know what I mean? You're buying a complete game that runs really well and it's been tested.
Well,
Um,
not just that, but it's mostly I think what was it called? I think it was Celeste, where they delayed even releasing it. They did this with Panzer Dragoon as well, where they delayed releasing it so that the patches could be on the
yes,
physical cart.
yeah, yeah. And so if you look at that difference between the indie world and the AAA world, where they're just releasing games bare minimum and then patching them, as they go along.
But we're also talking the difference of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Limited Run is pulling in the kind of money that something like Cyberpunk sold. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, no, you're right, you're right.
Um, I mean, my collector's edition is really nice looking. That's about it. And it has some really cool stuff in it, but I haven't played the game yet. So I hope for their sake that this roadmap I don't like ends sooner than later. Like
Yeah,
I want the complete experience, and I would like to experience it at its best, its most optimum.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, nobody wanted for them to fail. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no one expected them to
yeah,
fail like this either.
yeah. We all wanted the game to be a success because we wanted to play it. So, it's not like people are just being haters. It's just we're just
Yeah.
disappointed. That's what it is. We're disappointed.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. That's the one thing you can say to someone that might actually change their behavior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not upset with you.
I'm just disappointed. You're so much better than that, CD Project Red. You're so much better than that.